Hey folks, this episode of WTF is sponsored by Pro Flowers. Get a dozen red and white candy cane roses delivered by Christmas for just $19.99. Go to proflowers.com and click on the microphone and type WTF. Merry, Merry. Let's get on with the show.
Lock the gate!
Are we doing this? Really? Wait for it. Are we doing this? Wait for it. How? What the fuck?
WTF.
And it's also, what the fuck? What's wrong with me? It's time for WTF. What the fuck?
With Marc Maron.
Okay, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers? What the fuck buddies? What the fuck nicks? What the fuck Minister Fullers? How do you like that? What the fuckstables? What the fuckaricans? What the fuckamallans? What the fucking Navians? What the fucking Canadians? See, did you notice there was a difference there between the Canadians, like Canada, and Navians, like Scandinavians? Okay, enough. Enough. How are you? I am Marc Maron. This is WTF. Christmas is coming up. I will deal with that. Before I get into the bulk of whatever it is we're doing here, can I just say that Russel Peters is on the show today? Now, if you don't know Russel Peters, you're probably American, because everyone else in the world knows who Russel Peters is. He's one of the biggest international comedy stars in the world. When I first started hearing about Russell, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I've never seen him. I don't know. What does he do? He sells more tickets than anyone. I'm like, what? Who is he? Well, you're going to learn who he is. He'll be here in just a second. I would like to say that I will be in, let's do some plugging. Let's plug it. Plug me. Plug Maron. Why are you getting meta, Maron? Why are you saying it like that, Maron? I am going to be in Boston, January 27th for the Magners Comedy Fest. I'm going to be doing a stand-up show at 7 and a live WTF at 10. Those tickets are available at the Wilbur Theater, which is wilburtheater.com, on the live WTF so far. Now, this is subject to change, but my idea was to go with people that I used to see when I was starting out in Boston, because that really is where I started for most practical purposes. So I wanted to deal with some of the dudes that I used to open for when I first started doing comedy. So I've got Kenny Rogerson, who I'm fucking thrilled about. Tony V has said he'll do it. Mike Donovan. I am thrilled. I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited to see these guys. These guys were the guys, man, when I was starting out, and I would go on the road and open for them. Jimmy Tingle just said he would do it. Who else is on board? I think that's it for now, but I'm excited, and I hope you come out to that January 27th in Boston at the Wilbur Theater. Stand up at 7, live WTF at 10, and before that, January 13th and 14th, I'm going to be in Utah. Wise Guys in Utah. That's wiseguyscomedy.com. Come out. It's the Trolley Square Utah Club. I haven't played at that one. I played at the other one. Very excited. I'm always excited to sort of fly into the only functioning theocracy in this nation of ours and do some comedy for the people that need some relief from living in the only functioning theocracy in our country. So that's happening. Those are happening. I thought you should know about that. And before I forget, we're sponsored in part today by Comedy Central. Follow at Comedy Central on the Twitter machine to win sweet stuff. Sweet stuff during the month of December. Tweet with hashtag CC Mystery Box to get involved. This week's prize is a Workaholics t-shirt. So, do that thing. Do the Twitter thing. Do the at Comedy Central thing. Do the, hashtag CC Mystery Box thing for a Workaholics t-shirt. That aside, holidays are here. There's a lot of things going on. Big week. Big week. Thank you for all the emails about the cast iron. I appreciate your support, your suggestions, your sharing of your obsession with me around the cast iron. I've decided that my pans are maybe not as bad as I thought, that perhaps the obsession was really based on wanting to get down to the metal of it. So I'm doing that with my smallest cast iron. I've chosen not to go the electrolysis route because that required chemicals, liquid, a large battery charger, wires. It seemed like I could die. And I don't know that that's a way I want to die. Though I almost died excuse me, last night, I think. It was ice cream related. Perhaps I'll get to that. So I'm stripping down a cast iron, but I really appreciate all the support in my obsession. So that's happening. I appreciate all the Christmas cards. I appreciate all the presents. I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm not doing the Christmas thing that much. I'm flying to my mother's on the 25th, and then I'm going down to the Keys for a week. See, that way I can see the mom, bring the girl to a, nice place. Going to go to some of the Keys. Got some plans. Hopefully it'll be nice. I've never made that drive across that water to the Keys. I know the Key West can be a little trying, but I'm excited to go down there. That's my big Christmas plan. I'll be down there for New Year's. I'm not going to work on New Year's. Couple of breakthroughs, you guys. I don't know what's going on there. Yesterday there was some sort of chainsaw event down the hill. People taking down a large tree and chopping it, just sawing it into chunks down there. Today, there's some sort of xylophone event. So I've got power tools and xylophones. There's some sort of weird xylophone polka party going down at the bottom of the hill. I woke up to that. I woke up to the xylophone polka party. You're asking, you're thinking, what are these breakthroughs? I haven't heard any breakthroughs. Well, here's a little word of warning. I went to, if you're dating a Jew, I'm a Jew. My girlfriend Jessica is not a Jew. If you are dating a Jew and you're new to Jew dating, you're new to taking on the Jew as a significant other, I will put out this warning because today was the first day this happened, and we've been together, on and off, really mostly on for a year. You're going to have to deal with smoked fish. Smoked fish is going to happen at some point in the relationship with a Jew. There will be smoked fish involved. I went to Whole Foods. I bought some smoked black cod, which back in the day before I was born, back part of the tradition was smoked sable. That was a very high-end Jew fish that you could buy at the Jew fish dealer or the delicatessen. They call it smoked black cod. I know it as sable from my grandmother. So I brought that into the house, and my girlfriend's vegetarian, so I had to deal with the unwrapping of the smoked fish and her sitting there with a face that could only mean like, that is fucking horrendous. Why is that in here? The entire, right when you touch smoked fish, it seems there must be some thin film or oil that just covers your body immediately and then slowly starts to cover the entire house. It happens within seconds. You open some lox, some sable, some whitefish, and everything in the house will smell like smoked fish almost immediately. So she was trying to fight it taking over her. She was being consumed by smoked fish smell. And as a caring Jew boyfriend, I moved my plate outdoors and ate my smoked fish outside alone in exile. Not unusual. The Jews have been exiled before, but not so intimately and not so non-aggressively. It was more of a suggestion, a passive-aggressive suggestion that I take my Jewish smoked fish outside and enjoy my religion by myself on my deck, which I did. Hava Nagila. All right. Let's not go crazy. Let's not go fucking crazy. What else happened? I am writing a book, and it's coming along. I'm chipping away at it. I had no idea just how important masturbation is in the writing process. I have a whole new respect for the greats, because there's nothing you can do. When you're staring at a blank page, or you're staring at a sentence, and it's waiting for another sentence, you're staring at an unfinished paragraph, you're staring at 4 words that need more. Sometimes all you can do is just jerk off. You got to break through that wall. Sometimes that's necessary. As I've always felt that masturbation is a built-in stress relief device that you use, either prudently or not, depending on how compulsive you are. I think it's important. But I had no idea what an important and significant part of my writing process it is. And also I'd like to share with you that it's been many years, my friends, since I've been caught masturbating. I don't know if you know that feeling or whether it's happened to you recently, but certainly it's just been a long time since I've been busted with that going on. And it happened and I don't know. Well, she'll probably hear it now. I have a woman who works for me, Sam Varela, who does some assisting work for me now. She's a comedy fiend, a comedy nerd, and a comedy. She's starting to book some shows, but she's doing some assistant work for me. And I was in my garage writing my book, doing the big work, and I decided to take a little break and, focus in on myself. A little autoerotic take 5. And I had forgotten completely that she was coming over. And there I was in my garage, relieving the stress that builds up from the creative process. And sure enough, there was a knock on the door with no time in between that and the door opening. And it didn't quite open. It was Sam. And I said, wait. That can only mean one thing. Either I'm in the middle of killing somebody in here or I'm in the middle of masturbating. There was no way to hide it. I was embarrassed. I said, I'll be out in a second. Just give me a second. What could that have meant? There's no hiding it. So I'm copping to it here and now. There's no hiding it. I didn't know how to address it with her. She went in the house. She started doing other stuff, packing up some posters, some T-shirts. I came back in after everything settled. Made some small talk, and I kind of brushed it off. This is what I did. Because, I'm not ashamed of masturbating, but, no one wants to get caught masturbating. You just don't. So I kind of just smoothed it. I just was sort of like, okay, how many T-shirts we got? Do you want me to sign those postcards? Should I do it? I'm sorry, it felt weird out there. I had to watch some dirty movies for a minute because I'm writing, and then it just moved on. like maybe I'll just sneak that by her. But so that was good. That was invigorating, being caught masturbating. That happened. Conan O'Brien. I'll be on the Conan O'Brien show on Wednesday. I hope I can find some funny things to say. You guys probably already know some of it, but that's okay. Look, I've been with Jess for a while, and we had a fight the other night, and it was very specifically about nothing. And after the fight, I realized, you know what that fight was about? It was about we should be fucking instead of fighting. That was all it was about. It's weird, and I'm starting, because, there's all these old jokes about people that you get comfortable in your relationship, you're married, you don't have sex anymore, you don't do... There's a moment where the familiarity, all right, and a lot of, when it happens, where you just don't give a shit anymore about, your behavior because you're so comfortable with the other person. Perhaps you're, farting on each other at night or not. There is an intimacy beyond sexual intimacy that is more of, I don't know, it's almost, you're so close that sex is something you have to rejigger your attention to. And also you shouldn't be masturbating in your garage. All right. If you're doing a lot of that, like I said, mine was writing related, but there was a moment where we had this fight. All we should have been doing was having sex. And I knew that, but there was this weird thing going on where once you get so comfortable with somebody, you've got to switch the lens in your head. You got to put the sex lens on. And you got to take that intimacy when you're so familiar with people and you're so comfortable with them and you're farting in front of each other and bathroom doors are left open and, all their tics and habits and everything else. Sometimes, sex is almost, it's like a different zone. It's a different type of intimacy. And since you feel so revealed anyways and so vulnerable and like everything is out in the open, it somehow demystifies sex. But the truth of the matter is that that's when sex gets really deep. It gets really deep because it's so connected to that intimacy. And I think on some level, that's the scary kind of sex, is when you're so familiar with each other, it really has to be pure. The connection has to be pure. You can't just fake your way through it and have that sort of like relief sex where you're using the other person to just masturbate with. You have to, connect in a way that will honor the intimacy that you share when you're farting in front of each other. It's tricky. But once you get through that, once you break that, because she wanted me to start it, I wanted her to start it. It was that simple. Like, she's like, why don't you desire me? Why don't you want to just, devour me? And I'm like, I do. It's just like, right now I'm just kind of laying here and, I kind of want you to, start up the engine. Could you start up the engine? She's like, no, I'm not. Why do I always have to? I'm like, well, fuck it then. Let's just fucking not deal with it. And literally from there, it started to, it escalated into me, grabbing a comforter and heading to the couch. It got there in about 18 minutes. And I go out to their couch and I got my comforter. I'm like, why are we not just having sex? This is so stupid. Why am I being a baby? I should just, go in there and take her. I should go in there and take her. So I did that. I did that after I was a baby. So, there again, there's that vulnerability. There's that weird comfort zone. I stormed off like Linus with his blanket and just came back like a warrior. I had to wear the blanket in a different way and take my thumb out of my mouth and sort of use it as a cape and then take off the cape and then take my woman. Okay, you guys, this weekend is Christmas, and I know a lot of you want to give to me. I know you like to give to me. You give me gifts, and you give me love, and you send me cards, but there's also another way you can to give to me, and that's support the show through supporting our advertisers. And this is one of those situations where this is not a bad way to do it. So you got Christmas this weekend, and we've got Pro Flowers. Right now, we got Pro Flowers that's sponsoring this show, and this week only, get 1 dozen candy cane roses plus a free glass vase for $19.99. So that's candy cane roses. They're red and white roses. And Pro Flowers, of course, guarantees they'll stay fresh for 1 full week, or you get your money back. Or also, you can upgrade to 18 candy cane roses and a festive ruby vase for just $10 more. That ain't bad. Act now. You can still have these roses delivered anywhere in the United States in time for Christmas. I mean, today is Monday, so do it. All right, but you gotta order by midnight Thursday, and they'll guarantee it by Christmas. That ain't a bad deal because look, I'm a last minute guy. I'm scrambling to get gifts for people that I realize I should get gifts for. Giving gifts is not relative to getting gifts, and there's some. I should send my nieces some money, right? My nephews and nieces, but they're not going to respond to flowers. But you can send people flowers because you've waited till the last minute. You hear me? I'm telling you this. Call 800-PRO-FLOWERS and mention WTF. That's 800-PRO-FLOWERS and mention WTF, or go to proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the right corner and type in WTF. That's proflowers.com, click on the microphone and type in WTF. You'll get 1 dozen candy cane roses for $19.99. Order by Thursday at midnight, and they will get there in time for Christmas. Do it, you last-minute people. Your mommy wants flowers. Your girlfriend wants flowers. Your aunt wants flowers. Maybe that person you work with, you need to, come on, think it through right now, this week only. Just do it. It's easy, and it'll mean something. They'll appreciate it. Happy holidays. Quick note before we get into the interview, it was recorded before the passing of Patrice O'Neill, and Russell mentions Patrice here, so I didn't want it to seem awkward. Okay. These are those mics, get right on top of them.
Oh, the directional? Are they?
Yeah, the good ones. I got good mics. I don't have a Rolls Royce, but I have good mics.
Let me tell you something. When you got good mics, you don't need a Rolls Royce.
Oh, well, I think you might be right. I don't think a Rolls Royce has ever been in my driveway. Ever.
I did that for you.
You did?
Yeah.
What's the kick-around car?
That would be the Porsche. The Panamera. It's a four-door.
Okay, all right.
It's not the douchebag Porsche.
Okay, all right. It's the family Porsche.
Yeah, it's the car.
Yeah, I get it. All right. No, it's a beautiful car you came up with. I felt bad. I did it scrape on the...
No, I don't think it... It's a really high... It's actually bigger than it looks.
Yeah.
It's a much larger vehicle than...
Now, I didn't know that... I guess you can still get Rolls Royces.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, I never seen anybody driving one.
No, it's fun because you get a lot of stairs with it.
Well, isn't that what it's for?
Yeah, that's what I had. I had a Bentley convertible before that.
Yeah.
And then I was watching those housewife shows.
Yeah.
And every fucking housewife in America, all these little hookers that don't do anything.
Yeah.
They all had the same car, and I was like getting emasculated by these broads.
Oh, really?
So I was like, I'm trading this thing in.
You got mad at the housewives for having the same car as you.
Yeah.
And you decided you got to go for the Rolls.
Well, no. Then I was looking at other cars. I was like, I want another convertible.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the Ferrari, and I was like a little douchey.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the Aston Martin, and it was a little too tight.
Oh, too tight.
A little too tight.
What does that mean? To get into?
Yeah, I have big balls, and it was,
yeah, sure. It wasn't a practical car.
It was very impractical, and that's when I saw the Rolls.
Like, that looks like a practical car. Probably gets good fuel mileage.
Oh yeah, it's like 10.9 miles to the gallon.
All right. Well, that's. I mean, these are the tough problems of being the most successful stand-up in the world. Are you still that?
I possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how do we really gauge success?
Well, I mean, money is one way, and popularity. Those two things, I think you can gauge it on those levels. But I mean, I don't know what's in your heart. I mean, if you feel like you're a failure and you're driving that car, I'd go tell you to fuck yourself.
No, I feel my comedy is not up to par with my status. Is how I feel.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing because, you know, I've heard a lot about you. I remember when you first started getting huge. Russell Peters is in the garage, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm not. I remember when you first started getting huge and people started saying, like, he's like the biggest comic on the planet. I'm like, how the fuck have I not heard of him?
I started in Canada in '89.
Right.
Yeah. So that
was why. I mean, I'm a pretty regional guy. And how did you start, though? Was it doing straight stand-up or?
Yeah, no, I was just doing stand-up. It was right after the boom.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's when I kind of, I started I started getting paid in '88, so we're probably around the same amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. So,
how old are you?
41 this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then how'd that pan out? So how old were you when you really started?
Well, I had just turned 19.
Okay.
So I was basically 18, but I had just turned 19.
Yeah.
And you know, I was fucking green. I didn't know anybody in the business. I didn't have a single friend in it. And
you were getting paid when you were 19?
No, I didn't get. I mean, I was, you know, if you want to call it getting paid, you go do a one-nighter for $20 or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you were 19 in like 89.
Yeah.
88. Okay.
Yeah.
And you just started doing open mics there?
Started doing open mics and completely floundering through it. You know, I hate when I hear guys go, yeah, the first time I did it, then the manager came back and asked me to come back next week. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's not how comedy works.
Yeah.
I've heard people say it, and I'm like, where does that happen? That doesn't happen.
Never happened to me. I was paralyzed with fear.
Yeah, I remember you.
Had 4 jokes.
Yeah, my first 5 minutes, I had 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Here's 5 minutes. That's cool. I'll only take 2 if that's all right with you.
Do you remember what it was?
It wasn't even worth remembering.
Really?
It was just horrible.
Yeah?
I think I got a giggle.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, that's cool.
What was the angle, though? Family stuff?
Not even. It was, you know,
just abstract.
It was a, hey, how you guys doing? Don't you? I just motored through it. You know, I wasn't waiting for it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you're sort of disarming, you know. I mean, I've been watching your stuff, and I know that you have this huge international appeal. And how did you get so fucking huge?
That would be the internet.
But, like, someone told me you were really one of the first ones to really focus on self-promotion.
I to be honest with you, I never, and I still don't
really
focus on it. The whole initial thing, I mean, you got to figure, I did a special in 03 in Canada.
Right.
And that's the one that got put on the internet somewhere around mid 04.
Right.
And I was not the person who did it. I was still completely computer illiterate at that point.
It was an hour?
It was an hour.
For CBC?
For CTV, I think it was. And it got put on the internet, I don't know by who, and it got passed around and just spread like wildfire.
Everywhere.
I couldn't figure out why people were calling all of a sudden.
Really?
Yeah, because at that time, in 04, I'd been doing stand-up 15 years, and I was like, well, what the fuck? All of a sudden, people in the States are paying attention?
So you were just a Canadian road act? Or you
Yeah.
did? But in Canada, it's interesting. It seems that, you know, when you're a comic and you're within the industry, that eventually you end up on a TV show, or you have a radio show, or did you have things?
I had nothing. I really did have nothing. And when I shot that special in 03, I was as broke as you could possibly be.
But were you like a Yuck Yucks act?
I was a Yuck Yucks guy.
So you were just one of these guys that did all the Yuck Yucks all over Canada, had not played the States.
Nope. I'd played, like, you know, when I would come to New York and, like, in the mid-'90s, I would sleep on Patrice O'Neill and Keith Robinson's couch in Woodbridge, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I would go do spots with them around town.
Right.
Like, we'd go do Boston, we'd go do the Cellar, we'd go do the Strip.
But you were nobody.
I was nobody, and I would be struggling to get on those spots, and I would also be struggling to do well in those spots.
That's unbelievable. And then this was special. But let's go back to the past, though, because I watch your shit, and I noticed something. I don't know if I'm right, but it seems did you structure your jokes? Your jokes, you talk about family, you talk about race, but you talk in a long form like some of the older black comics. I mean, who were your influences?
Initially, it was Carlin.
Yeah.
It was Carlin, Rickles, Cheech and Chong, Steve Martin.
Those are like the same ones I had.
And Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
I always chose Eddie and Carlin over Pryor, which drives people nuts. But I mean, if it didn't click with me, it didn't click with me. You know?
But you do long form.
That's the thing. My style is more akin to Pryor.
Yeah.
But funny enough, it didn't ring with me.
But how'd you grow up? Because you're brown, as you say.
That is correct.
And you draw a lot of attention to that. I'd say you built a lot of your career on being brown.
I've built my whole life about that. You know what it was? Growing up, it was always brought to my attention.
Yeah.
I was just a kid trying to, blend in. And it was in Canada, there was a lot of racism towards Indian people. And so it was brought to your attention very early that this is what you are, and you shall not try and hang out with this people or these people.
Really?
And
just in social situations.
Yeah, you should probably be quiet and shut the fuck up in that corner over there.
But it's interesting. You don't talk with the Indian accent of any kind.
Well, no, I was born and raised in Canada.
Are your parents first generation?
They are. They moved to Canada in '65.
I love that. So they talk like that.
Yeah, and not even that hardcore, but
No.
we got to play it up for the. It's all about comedy's about the exaggeration.
Of course. And what kind of business what kind of family you come from?
Very, very working class. My dad was a meat inspector.
Really?
Yeah, he worked in a chicken plant.
Oh my god.
So, he just fucking.
Did you ever go to work with him?
No, he had to wear whites and rubber boots and a hard hat and
horrendous.
And he would come out stinking every day.
It's horrendous.
And my mom worked in the cafeteria at Kmart.
No.
Remember those cafeterias they used to have in the back with the Salisbury steak? And now a great day for us would be when there was Salisbury steak left over, my mom would bring it home.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Or hot dogs. I'm like, yes.
Special night.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So there was nothing. There wasn't ever like the, everyone always asked me, what about being a doctor or a lawyer? I'm like, there's none in my family. Why the fuck would I become one?
But you never got that first generation push of like expectation? Because I've talked to when I talk to people, I've talked to other people that come from first generation parents of different cultures, and there always seemed to be that kind of like you have to be better than everybody else because we're who we are.
We were always kind of like an outsider kind of. My family's Anglo-Indian.
Yeah.
So their first language, even in India, was English.
What does that mean in terms of the, like, Anglo in the sense that...
we're part British.
All right, so you're part of the caste thing?
Not even. We were part of...
the caste thing's different. The aristocracy, or what? How does it work?
It was all part of when the British were there colonizing us.
Right.
They were encouraged to... the British soldiers were encouraged to hook up with Indian women or marry them or whatever... because it was too dangerous and too expensive for them to try and bring their families over to India from England.
Oh, so they tell the single British soldiers...
They were like, listen, why don't you just get one of these local ones and call it a day, because your family, the broad you're trying to bring back from England on that boat right here could possibly die, and it's too expensive for us to do it. So they were encouraged to go local, shop local.
Yeah.
So we're a product of that mix, and then that mix became so.
So you have a British soldier somewhere in your lineage.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. And then that mix kept marrying the same mix.
Oh, okay.
Because the Indians rejected us,
right?
Because they were like, "Well, you don't even have our last name anymore. You're very fair skinned."
So you get that.
I actually look very Indian.
Yeah,
like especially out of my entire family, very Indian looking.
Yeah. Well, that works for you.
It works really well for me now. Growing up, not so much, but now, I'm laughing.
Yeah. But it's sort of wild to me because I'm watching and it's like you sort of have, there's some sort of license you have to be, racially charged and at times, fairly inappropriate, I would say.
I try to.
Yeah. But because you get some sort of weird pass because you look Indian, you don't talk like an Indian, but you can sort of, it seems that you can address almost any ethnicity with a certain amount of I don't know if it's compassion, but visible empathy just because of who you are.
Well, I think it's because I speak to them on a real level.
Yeah.
And I, take details about other people's culture rather than the broad strokes.
Right.
And once you go into detail on things, people pay more attention. I think details always separate good from great.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I think as a Canadian, like the one thing I don't see, at least in the stuff that I watched, is you never, here it's always like white people do this, black people do this, white people. The baseline is always white people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't come from that at all.
No.
Like the baseline is Indian, but you speak like, without an accent, and then you can address Chinese people and gay Indians or whatever you're going to do. But culturally, the landscape is different in Canada. Like, it doesn't seem like, you seem like a completely international act. I don't know how you do in the States or who comes to see you in the States, but I know you sold out Staples Center, right?
Nokia
Center.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your audience primarily here?
It's pretty broad now. It's very mixed now.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's picking up. The crazy thing for me is I just thought all right, I'll come here. It'll be the usual Asians and Indians that come out to see me. And then and then Asians and Indians were coming out to see me, but then I started noticing more white people coming. Then I started noticing more Latinos coming. And now I'm noticing more black people coming. And I'm like, well, all right, this is crossing over the exact same way it's crossed over everywhere else that I've been. So it kind of trips me out because every time I think I've reached the ceiling, I end up discovering that there's new people.
Well, that's wild because it's like it's probably more multi-ethnic than any white or black performer. I mean, I think it's sort of fascinating somehow or another that because you're kind of this lightning rod for every ethnicity. I mean, how does that fucking work?
I think I'm the voice of the invisible minority.
Interesting.
I mean, the people I'm talking to or about, whether it be Arabs or Asians or Indians or Latinos or, Italians, whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever I'm talking about, I'm speaking to them in some sort of, I guess, sonically they're hearing something that they're not hearing from somebody else.
Well, that you're speaking as somebody who is like second or third generation, but lives with the heritage of whatever they come from.
Right. And then now I break down things. I break it all culturally, So, when I talk about Italian Americans versus Italians in Canada where I grew up, the Italians in Canada are all first generation.
All right.
So, my friends that are Italian speak Italian to their parents.
Right.
But then they talk like a Guido to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when I see Italian Americans, they're all these, gung-ho, big, fucking Italian, bro.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you speak Italian? No, I don't speak Italian. Well, then how the fuck are you Italian?
Right.
Just because you have an Italian name and you work out and you eat pasta doesn't mean you're Italian anymore.
Well, it doesn't mean you're that close to the source.
Yeah. You're a satellite.
Yeah. You're a few generations off.
Yeah.
But how does because I get this sense of you that you like you can perform anywhere in the world. Do you speak different languages?
I don't. I actually only speak English.
Well, where do you go usually?
The only place I haven't been to is South America.
Were you afraid?
No, they just don't speak English. Till they get Rosetta Stone or Rosetta Piedra.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe Guyana. Maybe I'll go to Guyana because they speak English there.
Well, how come you haven't gone there? That's just
Guyana's a little dangerous. That's why I haven't gone.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get into any conflicts. Have you ever?
Well, not even there. They're just the things I hear are like, well, if you're wearing gold, they'll cut your hand off for your gold or whatever.
So you've actually tried to book a night?
Well, no, people keep trying to get me to go there, and I'm like, not till I get military escort.
Are you at that level yet where you can get military escorts?
Sometimes.
Really?
In certain places, it freaks me out when it happens.
Like where?
I don't know, like in Dubai or something, or in the Middle East. They give me armed guys to go around with me.
Really?
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So have you gone to Russia?
I've not gone to Russia.
So that's another place.
Yeah, I go continental rather than country-wise.
Right.
It's easier that way.
How about China?
China, yes. China, Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong.
Do you perform for Chinese audiences?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. The whole world speaks English.
Really?
That's the funny thing is the world is smarter than we are.
Yeah.
Because in America, we think that everybody else is stupid.
Yeah.
And we're like, actually, no.
They
speak their shit and ours. And then not only that, they speak ours better than we speak it.
Now, when you do your stuff about Chinese people in China, I mean, does it translate? Because it's more family oriented. I mean, you're not doing completely. It seems that the Asians that would speak English, that come from the old school or their parents from the old school, must get your stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole new world out there, especially with the internet generation. It's an equal playing field, There's like a commonality around the world, and that's okay. America is like the middle ground, and anything above or beyond that or below that is funny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So here's neutral, and then anything else, go for it.
Right. But you're telling me that for the first 15 years of your career, you were just another fucking lazy ass fucking comic.
You bet your ass. I was learning how I was cooking. You ever done that on the road? You make mac and cheese. This is before they had microwave mac and cheese.
Sure.
You would make it in the coffee percolator.
Yeah.
I've done that. You fucking heat up chili in the coffee percolator.
But you weren't like this.
You would turn a coffee percolator into a friggin' stove.
Yeah. If the condo didn't have what you needed.
Yeah.
Or it was just a hotel room.
Yeah, it was always like these shitty hotel rooms.
Ramen noodles.
Yeah, you would figure it out, how to eat out of a vending machine.
That's so weird because I had you all wrong. I thought like you're one of these guys that had a business mind that focused on the fucking business.
Never.
So your success completely came out of fucking left field.
It completely blew me away.
In terms of the global nature of it?
Absolutely. And here's the thing, Mark. Had I not made it to this level, I would still be just as happy being on the road, being a comic.
Yeah?
Yeah, regardless. Because I wouldn't have known this. Do you know what I mean?
But you were doing well in Canada, do you mean?
Not, I mean, on a good year, maybe I made 60 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't just play Canada. That was the thing, because I would leave Canada and I would go to England, and then from England you'd be doing gigs, and they would be like, "Hey, do you want to go to Amsterdam this weekend?" You're like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
How much is it? £150. I'm like, "Fuck, I'll take it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm here. What am I going to say no?"
Yeah, that's some Americans are doing that more, but that was more common in Canada, more common with the Europe. So you did the whole European thing.
I started going to England in 94, 95.
Did you have a following there?
No. No, I just used to go.
I'm having a hard time accepting the fact that you just popped because of this weird viral.
It was completely this weird viral thing.
So who manufactured? So you worked with? I know you work with Wills over at what are they now?
Live Nation.
Yeah, because I remember he always was talking about you, and like when he was the guy that first told me about you, he was like, he's bigger than anything, and I'm like, how do I not know who he is?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and even what, I feel guilty sometimes when I'm around guys like you or other comics who I knew, like, you're always aware of who's in the game.
Yeah.
But like around you or around like even I'm friends with like Norton and all those guys.
Yeah.
I still feel guilty in my head, and I almost feel like I cheated somehow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And they're always like, "Man, what are you selling out this?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, because in my head I'm intimidated by these guys still. But
well, I can't imagine what if you still are friends with Patrice, what that must be like.
Oh my God, Patrice is so funny to me because you know what a ball breaker is, and I love it when he breaks my balls. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I remember he came to me one time, maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, so Russell, now this is no disrespect, but you ain't that fucking funny that you should be this big. I mean, you're all right, but you ain't that fucking funny.
How did you respond to that?
I started laughing. And what are we gonna do? I mean, you know what? The thing is, I agree with you, Patrice. That's the worst part.
Do you judge yourself against other comics?
I don't judge myself against other comics, but I watch other comics, and you see guys doing shit, and you go, "Fuck, I wish I thought of that."
Right, but aren't you in a position now, like, if you could? I mean, you play theater, so the pace is different, and
I'd like to correct you. I play arenas, but go on.
Okay, arenas. Okay, that's fine. But you play arenas, which means that you have to pace yourself in a certain way. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna, you're not gonna leave anything open-ended. You're not gonna fucking wing it. You're not gonna, I mean, your show. I mean, I think an arena show, like an hour in arena is like, what, 40 minutes in a club?
Yeah, I do an hour and a half usually.
Okay.
And, I think it's about equal. I mean, I try, my deal is when I go on stage, I try to make a 16, 17,000 seat arena feel like you're in a club.
You can sell 16,000 seats?
Yeah.
Consistently?
Yeah. No.
Like in the States, where can you sell 16,000 seats?
In the States, I do around 13, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you pack it out?
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And they're still finding out about you because of that one special.
That one special, and then they're finding other things on the net, and it's so funny to me how it just keeps, and when like people go, like I'll give you an example. I met Slash the other day, and I walked up to him and go, "Hey Slash, my name's Russell Peters. I'm a comedian," and he goes, "Yeah, man, I know who you are."
Yeah, and
I was like, I got goosebumps. He goes, "Yeah, we were just watching you on tour in our tour bus in Europe," and I go, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Yeah. I didn't know what to say. I go, "Well, I got my new DVD. Do you want a copy of it?" I was panicking.
So how many hours do you have on DVD?
Let's see. I put out 3, and they're about... so that's about 5 hours done.
Yeah.
And then there was the special from 03. That's another hour. That's 6. And then I did an hour in 97, 7, and then a half hour in 95.
So you're in your 8th hour.
Yeah.
And you try to do what, one DVD a year?
One every 2 years.
And they sell like 100,000 copies?
Usually. Now we're in a different... it's very different. Nobody wants a hard copy of anything anymore.
Right.
So the new DVD's not doing anywhere near as well as I was hoping. Or
Oh, really?
Because people aren't. I don't even know where to buy a DVD anymore.
Yeah, I don't know where to buy anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I just released a CD. I have some of them. I think I'll just hold on to them. I'll bring them with me on the road.
Yeah,
and
you
sign
got to
some people.
upload them, and people got to buy the download. It's so weird.
And you can still figure out how to make money on that, though. But people can rip it off, right?
That's the other thing. Like,
Yeah.
And I get mad when people are like, "Hey, man, I know I just downloaded your green card tour." I'm like, "Motherfucker, don't tell me that. I want to slap you. I put all my money into that shit."
That's right.
Yeah.
And they think they think they're being cute, or they
Or they think they're doing me a
deserve it.
favor. They're like,
Right.
"Yeah, hey, man, it was
I got
great.
it for free. Thanks.
Yeah.
Really, thank you for letting me steal that from you. All right, so let's go back to the time where you realized this thing was going to break. How did you know? I mean, it must have been sort of thrilling. If you're just doing the yuck chains and sleeping on Patrice's and Keith Robinson's couch, I mean, what was the day where you knew that everything fucking changed?
I think it would have been. I say my awakening happened in around June of '05 when I came to L.A. and I was playing Royce Hall at UCLA.
Yeah,
And I sold
a
out.
college gig? Or
No, it was me.
Right, but how'd you book it through? I mean,
I don't remember how that
many
got
seats
booked.
was that?
Whatever Royce Hall is, 2,000,
Is it okay?
and it sold out like quick. So we had 2 shows,
Yeah,
and then we added 2 shows to the Laugh Factory.
just for
as
the hell of it,
as a bonus
Yeah.
kind of thing, and
yeah,
and it all sold out like that.
yeah.
And that's when I was like, all right.
And
well,
who was the audience then? Mostly,
it was mostly Asians and Indians.
really
Yeah.
okay. So you knew that market was there for you.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that they had that. I didn't realize they were that there was that many of them out here.
Right, and most of these were like second or third generation Asians, I imagine.
No, first, like, their parents came over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they must just be. I'm just trying to figure out. They must. I think there is something about adapting to being in an English-speaking country, or adapting to being, being a unique minority or ethnicity in this country. That the struggle must be the same. They must identify with it.
You got to figure it's probably equal to the comics of the early 1900s.
Right. Like the Jews and the
Italians and the
right,
Irish.
Right.
I mean, it's that I'm that guy to them.
Have you been to India?
I have been to India.
Do you go often, or you don't?
I'm actually going again next month.
How often do you go?
Once every few years.
You have family there or no?
I have some family there still. Yeah.
Now, what is that like? Because I have this. I want to go to India, but I'm afraid of it. I've talked about it before.
Well, I personally, I love it over there.
Yeah. You would, right?
There's something about it I like. I don't know what it is. It's the factory where they make Indians.
yeah. All the Indians are made there, and they're making them a lot.
Yeah. Never mind the knockoffs you get over here.
Yeah.
You'd love it, I think.
No, I really, my entry point is really just food, and I've always been sort of fascinated with the culture.
Are you a vegetarian or anything?
No, but I love.
What
the
are you
food.
doing after this? Because my mom cooked, and she's at my house right now.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh my god!
So if you want to, you would love it.
Really?
Yes.
I might take you up on that.
I think you should.
Let me think about it.
Yeah.
Can I bring my girl?
Absolutely.
Wow. How many people are over there?
Just my wife, my daughter, my mom, and her brother, who's here from Calcutta visiting.
Really?
Yeah.
See, like, I'm fascinated with the whole culture. Like, I have Ganeshas all over the place.
Oh, well, then you're going to love this, because you're going to find out how un-Indian my family is. Except, like, my uncle does very Indian things, like shakes his head sideways. But
is that an Indian thing?
It's a very Indian thing. Because he doesn't even know he's doing it, but I laugh because I noticed it, right? I took him to IHOP the other day.
Yeah.
And he's like, sir, do you want white or wheat toast? White is good. And he's just shaking his head sideways. And she's like, not white? And he's like, yes, white. And I'm like, that's hilarious.
You're like, can you turn down the Indian a little bit?
Yeah.
But so you believe that? See, like, I don't. Talking about these racial things, because in order to do the jokes you do, which I imagine that some people accuse you of being racist.
Those are people that don't understand. And now those are also people that don't know how to use English properly. And a lot of people are trying to say racial jokes, and they say racist jokes.
Right.
Because people are getting fucking dumber and dumber, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I read that and like, hey, I love your racist jokes. And you're not sure, because when you read it, is that a dig, or do you just not know how to spell fucking racial?
Well, I think that what I think the only issue that people have is that when you generalize about a culture, that they think you're limiting the perception of that culture, and you're and you're stereotyping.
Right.
So some people would call that racism.
Right.
But it seems to me that, even in your family, that you're able to identify this particular head shake that may be cultural.
Yes.
That you've seen before.
Yes.
So that's of your experience, and it's funny because it's not of my experience. But if you're going to tell me that, if you're going to say to a room full of Indian people that, he was doing the Indian head shake and they're all going to identify that, who the fuck am I to say that's racist?
Yeah. Well, generally, I mean, it's like people want to police these things, and
yeah, who are those people really?
I don't know who they are, but they deserve to be kicked in the nuts.
Well, I think that what you're saying though, because even in the bit that you do that I watched, in the bargaining between, the negotiation, a sales negotiation between a Chinese guy and an Indian guy, that your perceptions about how those two cultures handle money and what they expect out of money was funny. But I know that there'd be people that would be offended because you're going, well, like you're making fun of that.
I'll tell you the funny thing about that is, now you hear that, but Chinese people hear, oh, that's a dead-on Hong Kong accent. That immediately they go, they don't even say that's a Chinese accent.
Right.
They go, that's awesome. You sound so, you've been to Hong Kong before?
Yeah.
And to them, there's nothing racist about it, because if you get it dead on, how can you get mad at that?
Right. You did your homework.
Yeah. That's basically how they look at it.
Did you know it was a Hong Kong accent?
Yeah, I did, because it's where I picked it up, actually.
Do you do a range of Chinese accents?
No, I just got the Hong Kong. And people are like, hey, do mainland. I'm like, I don't know the difference.
You can't cop to that.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm working on it.
Yeah. I go, look, I know you guys speak two different languages. How about that? Is that enough?
Have you been attacked for this shit before though?
Not by the people who I'm talking about.
But by white people.
Yeah, but white people are like, hey man, you shouldn't say that. I'm like, or people, I do it in meetings or whatever I'll talk about. And white people get so uncomfortable with it. I'm like, stop getting fucking uncomfortable with it. That makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
That means you got some hidden shit going on in your head.
Well, they just don't know what's right or wrong. They don't want to. It's like that white man's guilt thing. They don't want to carry the burden of saying something inappropriate because they don't know when they're being inappropriate.
You know what? You know how you find out what's not inappropriate or what is inappropriate? Talk to an old person.
Yeah.
They always just say what they see.
Yeah.
There's no malice involved.
Right.
They just say what the fuck they see.
Okay.
My dad would say things like, when my friends would come over, my dad was born in 1925.
Yeah.
So he was pretty old.
Yeah.
How
many brothers and sisters do you have?
Just one, my older brother.
And he's your guy?
He's my manager as well, yeah. So my friends would come over, and growing up, 95% of my friends were black.
Yeah. Because
they were the ones that wouldn't pick on me.
Right.
So they'd come over, and my dad would be like, Russell, there's some Negro here at the door. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? And you would think like the black guy would be like, what the fuck did you say? But even he'd be like, what are you going to do? He's old, There's no malice. It's just, it's really about intent.
It's just the way, it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know the guy's name, right?
Yeah. There was, or like I got into a fight at school and when I was a kid, and he goes, what was the boy's name? And I go, Peter Jankowski. And he goes, he's a Polak. My dad would actually break down everyone. That's how I got to it, because my dad would, by their last names or whatever they were, he would break down what they were.
But he did say Polak, not Polish guy.
Yeah, he would say Polak. He used to love All in the Family. So
he was Archie Bunker.
He was the brown Archie Bunker.
It's interesting that when that, because I find that within minorities there's real racism too. I mean, like blacks and Mexicans, it's insane.
Yeah.
In this neighborhood. What is it with Indians?
Indians are very weird with that, because as a whole they'll come together.
Yeah.
But then you put them together and then they will separate.
Class system stuff?
It'll be whatever. Language. It's more than anything, it's language.
Which is like
whatever part of India you're from.
Punjab or Hindi? Is that the two ones?
Well, there's so many. I mean, you can tell by last names in the Indian culture where somebody's from in India, what language they speak. Like Patel. Yeah. You'll know that they speak Gujarati.
Yeah.
That's because that last name is specific to that region.
Did I just say something stupid? Is Hindi a separate language?
Hindi is the national language.
And
Punjabi is a language.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near a national language.
Right.
It's in the north, and
it's a dialect.
It's not a dialect, it's a language, but it's
it's a totally separate language?
Yeah, I mean they twist some words, but they're all basically variations of Hindi or based on Sanskrit stuff.
So you grew up mostly with black dudes?
Yeah.
They were your friends?
Yeah.
Only because you were both ostracized by Canadian white people?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So were you at any one time, were you encultured black?
Very much.
Yeah?
I mean, I was breakdancing in the early 80s.
Were you?
Then I was DJing.
Yeah?
And then I was boxing.
Yeah.
And everything I ever did was like
hip-hop and the whole thing.
Yeah, I was there when it all started, Yeah. So for me, it was like, I still DJ to this day.
Because I still swear that, some of the way that you do your comedy, it seems black to me.
And I used to do black rooms.
You did?
When I would come to New York back in the day. And Keith and Patrice would always make fun of me because I'd be like, Keith, I got to go do Capone's room in the Bronx at 1:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And he'd go, and Keith's exact words, you know Keith.
Yeah, sure.
Keith's exact words were, "Nigga, I wouldn't rush into there. You're going to get kicked in your fucking throat, you jackass."
Yeah, that sounds like Keith.
That's what he does. And what happened? We get to the gig, and I got booed off. I mean,
So you got booed off in black rooms?
Not all the time, but it happened, yeah. They let you know, because the first thing is they look at you and they're like, I remember hearing when I was on stage that night, some guy going, "Oh, fuck you on there, you pretty motherfucker."
Oh, yeah. It wasn't even about color.
Yeah, it was just like,
you're not ugly enough to
yeah, I
get
know
covered.
about you big-nosed niggas. I know about y'all. And I'm like, all right, well, apparently.
What does that even mean?
I don't know what that means, but apparently I have a big nose.
It's a certain type. So they thought you were black, and then they realized you weren't?
I don't know what they thought, but they just didn't like me. I think I spoke too clearly. Because I didn't want to be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Did you ever do that?
No, I couldn't do it.
Not even as a kid, though? I mean, like...
Yeah, I mean, I would do that with my, there was that period in life where you're all confused.
Yeah.
And in Canada, it was a lot of West Indians, so I would speak Jamaican a lot. Because all my friends did.
What does that sound like?
Well, that's the thing. Even when I call my best friend Marlon back home, I'll just go straight into Jamaican with him.
Like, what does that sound like?
I'll call him, like, "Yo, Stucky, what, man? What go on?" And he's like, "Nothing, man, me there." And I'm like, "Yo, so, yeah, listen here, may I reach back this side to this, so come reach me at the house, man." And he'd be like, "All right, cool, yeah."
Really?
But then,
yeah,
on the side, we will be together and talking, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so what'd you do this week?" You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like, it's one of those things where, you see somebody.
You share yeah.
It's kind of like, "Hey, I want you to know I'm still the same."
Yeah.
And then when you're hanging out, it's like, "So you want to go eat or something?" "Yeah, let's go eat. What do you want to eat?" "I don't know. Want a salad?" "Yeah, sure. Let's have a salad or something." Whatever. Like,
but when you first engage, you
it's that excitement of becoming who you were.
That's amazing, man. It's amazing because it's really just it's just a way of communicating. That it just trips me out because when I watch you, it seems that you're almost like a blank slate of ethnic potential. Yeah. It's weird that like you represent some sort of global rallying point of comedy, and you're the only one. I mean, I don't know who else does that.
I'm the ambiguously looking racial guy.
Well, but that's true, right? And it somehow gives you this license to talk about whoever the fuck you want. I mean, obviously we all can, but I just think it's fascinating that you don't come from the point of like you don't hear any of that like white people, because you're not. Yeah, and you're also Canadian, and it's just I guess.
See, I look at it as white. Saying white people is so broad.
But here is a comic type. Yeah. I mean, the black angle was, the separation was that, that we are the other, and that, this is how we are perceived, and this is how we see white people.
I like when people say, and I don't care who you are. I love everybody, black, white, Asian. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, is that you don't have to say that. You sort of embody it somehow.
Yeah,
whether you love them or not.
I guess it's my essence.
Yeah. No one has taken your essence, which is good. It is. It's just it's an amazing thing. So tell me about performing for these different audiences. You don't change your act.
No, you change little things, maybe,
But do you have a chunk on, like, because I noticed that I've only seen I haven't watched all 7 hours of your I've taken in the entire Russell Peters oeuvre. I know. I'm in the minority. But do you have chunks on interactions with the Egyptians or Arabs? Or
yeah, I do. I actually have a whole thing on being in Jordan and being punked by the King of Jordan.
A couple of guys have King of Jordan stories. Were you with Maz or those guys?
No, it was me and Gabriel Iglesias, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't punk Gabriel. He punked me, though.
He's got a sense of humor, this guy. His mother's American, right? Queen Noor's American.
Is she?
I
didn't
think
know that.
So, yeah.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a really cool guy.
I hear that.
You would never know he was a king.
How do you get punked by the King of Jordan?
We were at it. We invited us to the palace.
Yeah.
For dinner.
Yeah.
And, we're all having a good time, and he's cooking for us, which was pretty cool. I mean, you got the king standing right in front of you. There's no guards around you. It's just me, the king, Gabriel, Angelo Sarukis. Do you know Angelo? big fat guy. I think you have the Fred and Vinny movie on your dining table.
Someone just sent it to me. I know Fred. That's
Fred. Angelo plays Vinny.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched it yet.
Angelo's one of my best friends as well. And so we're all there. My brother, my sister-in-law, we're all hanging out. The Queen's standing there, Queen Rania.
Yeah.
And it's just a very chill vibe. And he's like, so how do you want your steak? And he's cutting up the steak. And he's like, yeah, there's some snacks over there. And his brother's there.
Yeah.
The prince.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm talking to his brother. Goes, hey, how you doing? I'm Faisal. I go, like Prince Faisal? He goes, hey, just call me Faisal. I go, what do I call your brother? He goes, oh, His Majesty? And I go, you call your brother His Majesty? He goes, no, I call him Ab, but it's up to him what he wants you to call him. So he's like, how do you want your steak? I go, I don't know, sir. He goes, oh, my friends call me Ab. I go, that's cool, sir.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we're friends, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to assume these things.
But you weren't going with Your Majesty. You were going with sir.
I was just going with sir.
Yeah.
There's no majesties in my world.
Yeah.
Nothing majestic in my world.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, no, Ab. My friends call me Ab. Call me Ab. So I'm like, all right, Ab. And anyway, he goes, have a drink, relax, right? So I get a little buzz going, and I'm more relaxed.
Yeah.
And I'm saying dumb shit to the king now. Yeah. I'm like, you have really blue eyes. And then Gabriel's like, what, are you hitting on him? And I go, no, I'm just saying. And he's laughing. He's got a great sense of humor. He goes, I go, no, you look younger in person than you do in your pictures, because in a kingdom there's pictures of the king everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. I go, you look much younger in person. He goes, oh yeah, those pictures are pretty terrible. They were taken a long time ago. I go, no, but I'm just saying I couldn't help but noticing your penetrating gaze.
Yeah.
I go, I don't mean you are penetrating gaze.
Yeah.
I mean you have. And I'm backtracking.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little nervous with the guy.
And
anyway, we end up having a great time.
Yeah.
He's just cool as hell. And the Queen decides to go to bed. So my brother, my sister-in-law, and myself take that as a cue to be like, maybe we should leave. It's like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We don't. If the Queen's gone to bed,
it's time.
Maybe the king just doesn't want to be rude and kick us out. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Sure, so we go. You know what, Ab? We're gonna break out. We've got to catch a flight in the morning. He goes, oh, you do? What time's your flight? I'm like, it's at 10:30. He goes, what time are you heading to the airport? I go, probably gonna leave the hotel at about 7. He goes, 7? That's too early. Leave at 9. I go, I'm not gonna make my flight. He goes, I'll call the airport.
Yeah.
And I go, that's when you remember he's a king again, right? You're like, yes, of course you'll call the airport. We're flying on Royal Jordanian Airlines, and you are the royal part.
He's got a little pull.
Yeah. So he goes, just leave at 9. You'll be fine. You'll get there maybe 9:30, 9:40. You got lots of time.
Yeah. I
go, okay. So we leave the hotel at 9. We get to the airport 9:30. We pull up at this VIP entrance that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And there's guys that meet us right away.
Yeah.
They take our luggage. They take our passports. They send us up to this VIP room. And we're all sitting there, all staring at each other like, this is fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of service is this?
Yeah.
So this guy walks in. We're all sitting there. They give us tea and snacks. And this Arab guy walks in holding a passport in his hand. And he goes, Russel Peters. And I'm like, that's me. And he goes, come with me. And I'm just trying to be funny. So I go, nope. And he goes, come with me. And I'm like, oh, shit, all right. Relax. And we start walking. And he goes, you have 2 cell phones. Where are they? I go, what? What? He goes, give me it. So I give him 1 cell phone. He goes, where's the other one? I go, it's in my bag. And he's got so I get a little bit of an attitude now because, I boxed for 9 years and I did a little jujitsu for a few years. So I kind of got that edge about me where it's like, all right, relax, buddy, because you're about to fucking get me into a space you don't want me to get me into.
Yeah.
And I don't need to fuck this up now because I don't know what the jails are like out here. So
you didn't drop the king's name at all?
No, I didn't want to. I didn't want to fuck up the king's name either. You know what I mean? He was so nice when so. So we start walking out of the room. He goes, "You speak Arabic?" I go, "No." With an attitude, I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Huh." So we walk down these stairs, and we get to the bottom of the stairs, and there's 2 armed guys standing there, like military guys with guns, automatic weapons pointed right at me.
Really?
And immediately in my head, my ego kicks in and goes, oh my God, the king came by to say bye to me. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so the guys, as soon as we come downstairs, the guys point the guns right at me. And I go, oh, it's me. It's okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, and I'm like, oh, damn.
Still giving you the stink eye.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So this guy leads me into like an interrogation room. Go sit down. We're at a table like this. So I'm sitting there. He's sitting here. He's like, where were you last night? And I go, What? What did you do last night? I go, I did a show. Uh-huh. And then I went out. I'm trying not to tell him where I went, because I'm thinking maybe the king breached some sort of security thing.
Oh, you think the king's in trouble?
Well, you never know, right?
Protecting the king?
Yeah.
That's very nice of you.
I grew up with blacks. You know, you don't just rat fucking people out, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I did a show.
Yeah.
Did some stuff.
Hung out with a friend. A guy I know here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I look on the table, like, beside me to my right.
Yeah.
And I see a towel, like a blanket with a camcorder underneath it. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in an interrogation room.
Yeah.
But then immediately my Indian side kicks in and goes, that's an old fucking camcorder.
No.
That's immediately what I thought. I was like, can't you get better shit around here?
Yeah.
So he's like, where do you, and I go, then where did you go? I went out.
Yeah.
Where? I went, hung out at the palace. I threw it in like a trump card.
Yeah.
Eyes open, palace.
Yeah.
And he goes, which palace? I go, what do you mean which palace? Hung out with the king. Which king? Don King. What the fuck do you mean which king?
Yeah.
And I look above him and there's a picture of the king sitting right there.
Yeah.
And I go, the king.
That
King
guy.
Abdullah, that king right there. Why did you do that? What were you doing? I go, we're friends. How are you friends? You're friends with my king.
Yeah.
So I pull out my phone. I go, yeah. And I show him a picture of me and the king.
Yeah.
Huh. And he lights up a cigarette. He blows the smoke in my face. I'm like, what a dick.
Yeah.
Then I hear a commotion in the hallway outside.
Yeah.
And then I hear like scuffling, and then
Yeah.
I hear, don't fucking point the gun at me, fool. And then it's Gabriel. Iglesias walks in the room, and he's on the phone. He's like, uh-huh. And I go, Gabe, what the fuck is going on, dude? And he goes, hold on. He passes me the phone. I go, hello? And all I hear is, never be the first to leave one of my parties again. You just got punked, biatch. And I go, fucking hell, dude. And then the guy behind the counter, the guy who was interrogating me,
Scary guy.
he's like, I'm so sorry. I was told to do that. I'm sorry. He's all practically on his knees bowing to me. I'm so sorry. And I'm like,
That's fucking beautiful.
fucking horrible.
Have you talked to him since? I'm going to turn the air on for a minute. Have you talked to him since?
The king? No.
Where's the,
But here's the worst part.
Yeah.
I go, Gabe, you knew about this? He goes, yeah, that was the least fucked up one he wanted to do. I go, what do you mean? He goes, he wanted to put a bag of white powder in your suitcase and a handgun.
Oh, shit. That would have been great.
I go, that's not funny. He goes, well, I know that. I talked him out of that one.
They were all in on it?
Yeah.
So when you travel, I mean, like, where, like, I have to assume that, I mean, you seem pretty, you know, I mean, I have to assume that has some kind of emotional effect on you, that you're bringing this many people together. Is there moments where you're kind of, like, at least overwhelmed with, you know, some sort of emotion? I mean, obviously you're grateful and you're doing well and you got a Rolls Royce, but do you feel that you are playing some important global role as a comedian?
No, I feel a responsibility now to not make broad general strokes when I talk about people.
Is that true?
Yeah.
How did that evolve?
That evolved because people looked at me with respect and kind of like, we trust your word now. So don't fuck this up.
Well, what did you have to recheck? I mean, like, were there parts of your act that you had to rethink?
You know, there's always the quick joke you think of, or
right.
It'd be like, you know, the rock throwers or whatever. You just something dumb, or
like
something
in reference to Palestinians or whatever.
Or whatever, yeah, whatever. And then I have to check myself, and I go, look. If I make fun of the Palestinians and call them that, then they're going to think I'm on the side of Israel, and then the entire region's going to turn against me. And then again, at the same time, I want to be respectful of these people because I don't want them to think I'm not on anyone's side. I'm just here to tell you what I see.
So that's interesting. So you've got sort of an inner United Nations.
Yeah.
That you have to honor in order to make sure that your observations have integrity.
Integrity and an accuracy.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you ever done a joke and realized, like, you know, fuck, you know, that was a mistake?
If I have, I've never done it in a recording.
Right.
So if I have, you know, I'm sure you make mistakes when you're on stage.
But there's nothing that stands out in your head.
There's nothing that stands out, you know. You know, there's things I think of sometimes on stage, and you go, fuck, I want to say that, but I won't.
Right.
You know.
Right. But, like, there are certain, like, you know, cultural identifiers that if you're just riffing and someone says they're from so-and place, you know, you can throw in a couple of the, you know, kind of standbys, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But
you got your own stock room in your head.
Right.
That you can shoot something out while you think of something else. Your brain's juggling at that point, you know?
Has there ever been a sense where you're doing these shows and you felt like you've helped? Do you feel like you help?
Well, if there's Jews and Muslims sitting near each other, I always make them hug.
Do you really?
I really do. I think it's hilarious.
Have you done Israel?
No, I have not.
Why?
I just have not done it yet.
It's not. Is it on the?
It is on a list of things I want to do, because I actually found out that I do have quite a following in Israel.
Right. Now, what? There's not been any apprehension on your part about it?
Not really.
How come you haven't gotten there yet? What other places?
That I want to go to?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go to Ghana next year.
Yeah. I don't
Africa.
even know what that would look like.
West Africa.
Have you done West Africa before?
No, I've only done South Africa.
Yeah.
And so I want to go to Ghana. I want to do Kenya, Tanzania.
When you go to some place like South Africa, are you able to draw attention to the tension there?
Well, the funny thing in South Africa was actually the first place in the entire world where I was famous, quote unquote.
Uh-huh.
And that was around 2002.
Yeah. Well, they got a big entertainment complex there. I mean,
they do.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. It's just they have. That country was ripe for me for the racial material.
Right.
I mean, a country that had fucking
Apartheid,
apartheid and racial inequality for till the mid '90s. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a black and white thing over there. It was black, white. It was anybody who was not white.
Right.
And Indians were on that list.
Right. So that's so then there is a certain element of you because at this particular moment in history, because of globalization, that there is a sort of, you know, almost international relief of racial tension that everybody can understand, because it is we're dealing with a global landscape now.
Yes.
It's fucking fascinating to me. Have you ever offended a dominating power? Like, you know, in South Africa, were you ever...
I was never leery of offending the white people there.
Yeah.
In fact, it was almost my goal.
Yeah. And did you succeed?
I don't know if I did or not, but my mission at the time was, because they had been so systematically broken down mentally, all the non-white people, that they, even though apartheid had been lifted, they still weren't mentally ready to challenge white people on any level.
Right.
They were still yes sir, no sir.
So you did a bit of that.
And I would fuck with the white people all the time.
And how'd they take it?
They had to take it.
But I mean, did you find that they laughed, or did it make them uncomfortable? Did you find that they were aggravated?
It was a joyful cheer out of the non-whites in the room.
Right.
It was kind of a thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and it felt really nice.
It's like playing at a prison and the wardens are just standing there and can't really respond.
Fuck you, warden.
Yeah. You don't got us no more.
Yeah.
And when you do, like, well...
Which I have done. I performed at Rikers.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty appreciative.
They really are.
I mean...
It was bizarre.
I played at a women's prison years ago. They're just thrilled that you came.
Yeah.
And they're usually... It's a little weird in there, though, no?
Yeah,
I mean, when you go
awkward.
Yeah, because it's like its own culture, and it's not... It's definitely a scary one.
Yeah, and you got COs on either side of you with shotguns.
How'd they respond to you?
It was great. I mean, at first I was trying to just do material.
Yeah, and then you just started riffing.
I started riffing on, like, the big guy.
Yeah.
And then, then the more you start picking on them, the more they're like, yeah.
And you know that when you leave, that they're never going to forget it.
Yeah.
Whatever you said to that big guy.
You know somebody's getting shanked over what I said because they mocked the same guy.
Right, like
mistaking it that they could get away with it.
Well, that's sort of interesting, because then you're sort of empowering, these groups of people that have been looked at as minorities in different countries.
Yeah.
But when you go to India and perform, how does that play out?
India's amazing for me. The Indians in India, well, obviously that's redundant, but they love me. The ones that understand me,
yeah.
The English-speaking ones, and the ones that are with it.
Why do you think? What do you think it is about what you're doing? Do you think that they aspire to either getting out of India or living a life like yours, or do you just think that it's a voice they have not heard before from an Indian?
I think it's it's a voice they've not heard from an Indian, and B, I'm almost like the picture of what they would expect us to be like. How, with the attitude or
respect,
whatever. It's
yeah.
kind of like that's our guy. You know
And
what
that
I mean?
you can riff on, the different types of Indians and how Indians are perceived, and that you are clearly not that.
Yeah,
Not out of intention, but you just aren't.
The funny thing in India is that the Indians over there are so much smarter than the Indians that are that are over here.
Oh, okay.
Like they get everything.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's part of being an outsider.
Right.
When you're an outsider, you see things far more clearly than the people stuck on the inside.
Because they've got that blind spot.
Yeah.
They're the ones putting you outside.
Yeah, so now you're outside, so you can get
Just look in, like
it's
it's a
like
zoo.
it's like take a step back and
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. So they're watching us,
Yeah.
and we're it's this weird kind of the Indians that are they're called NRIs, non-resident Indians. All the Indians around the world that are not in India are NRIs, non-resident Indians, and they all desperately try to cling on to. They go in overtime to be more Indian.
Okay.
They overdo it.
The ones outside of India.
Yeah. And the ones in India don't have anything to prove. How much more fucking Indian do you need to be? They're born and raised and live there.
Well, why do you think that they overdo it in order to identify the community? Is it a community thing to keep separate, to make sure that there's still like a strong sense of Indianism?
To try and hang on to their culture, afraid
Right.
of losing it or
Right.
or whatever the case may be. But the Indians in India even recognize it as it's corny to them.
Really?
And you got to figure, like, the Indians that are doing this, they're basing it off what their parents have told them. Their parents maybe left 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
So you're basing it off of an idea. It's like your parents left America in the 60s, and they're living wherever else they're living now, and they're telling you about America, but they're telling you their picture of it in the 60s.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
so
it's kind of like you grow up, and you're like, so you live in this other country now, and you're, hey, peace and love, man.
Right.
And you're like, what is that?
So on some level, they're still reacting to the British or something, like the people that have been out of India for 50 years.
Yeah, they still have like this weird kind of, it's an inferiority complex.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
And the Indians in India don't have that.
Right.
Because they're there. Who are they inferior to?
Yeah.
Each other?
And what is it like there? I mean, is it like what's your experience of it? Because I know that there's more people, per capita than anywhere,
Yep.
and that the poverty is horrendous.
It is.
But how do you move through that culture? I mean, you're probably treated very well, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
treated
is there still a sense of like, oh my God, this place is a fucking mess?
I call it a beautiful mess over there. Because the poor people in India, it's unlike any other poor place in the world, it's not dangerous to be in a poor neighborhood. You can go into the poorest of poor neighborhoods in India, into the most ghetto fucking, tin house box. And that would be a luxury.
Yeah.
Like, my family's from Calcutta, so I see some real shit over there.
Yeah.
I literally saw a pile of garbage and people sleeping on it.
Yeah.
And I saw rats picking at the garbage. And we're talking rats that are about, a foot and a half, 2 feet long.
Yeah.
But you could walk into any of those situations and no one's going to be like, get away from me. Oh, what do you want? There's this inner peace that they all have that they don't want your shit.
Is that really true?
It's very true.
Where does that come from?
It comes from, they know that no matter how fucked up their situation is, they know that there's somebody in a worse situation right beside them.
Huh.
So it's kind of like, well, this is my place, but that guy's place sucks worse than mine.
Uh-huh.
So I even talk about it in my act. I go, you can walk through with a nice watch. They're not going to try and take your watch. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They don't want to know how fucking long they've been hungry for.
Yeah. And you're pretty. They love you there.
It's they're very loving people.
Right.
And
see, that's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
You're saying there's not any asshole Indians or?
Oh, there's asshole Indians.
And
But do you know who they are?
Who?
You know who the asshole Indians are? Generally the rich ones.
Right.
They're real dickheads.
Yeah.
They're rude. They're obnoxious. They don't know how to talk to people. They talk at you. They order you around. I see them do it. And and when they do it around me, I get mad as shit. I'm like, don't fucking talk to that guy that way.
Yeah.
So he's the coolie or he's the servant. He's supposed to. Yeah,
right.
But he's a fucking human. Talk to him like one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get so mad. I'm like, because I'm always nice to them. I'm like, hey, man.
Do you talk
how
about
are
that
you?
on stage?
The
difference
in
between-
India, I do it.
You do?
Yeah, because I want it rings true for them.
Yeah. So the poor.
And then they'll always come to me after. No, I always talk very respectfully to my servant.
my servant.
Yeah, boy, come here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then stop calling him fucking boy first of all. How about that?
So now, what is the most challenging situation you've had to deal with? I mean, in traveling, given that you have played in all these different audiences, or dangerous, or anything like that.
I think more so the fear of losing your luggage, to be honest
Is
with
that
you.
it? That's the big thing you're up
And
against?
jet lag and the fear of losing your luggage.
Those are the big ones.
That's it. And getting sick.
Yeah.
And I don't mean stomach sick. I mean just getting a cold or something. I don't want to get sick on the road.
Yeah. So those are the big fears?
That's it.
You feel pretty well protected otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, if you get into trouble here, you're going to get into trouble there.
Right.
I mean, if you don't look for shit, you're not going to find shit.
Right. And in terms of feedback, in terms of cultural feedback, I mean, you talk about responsibility now, but there must be some gratitude that comes back at you.
Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, you know, the funny thing for me is now I get people complaining to me that I haven't made fun of them yet.
Oh, really?
You haven't talked about us yet.
Like who?
Why haven't you talked about the Latvians? I go, you know what? Fuck, had I known you were here tonight,
yeah.
I have 30 minutes on it.
So you're that guy, you know, you're literally you're like the integrator. You're the guy that's
like, come on. Like, I'm on stage sometimes, they'll be like, hey, talk about, you know, Persians.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You must
hey,
have
what
some.
about Russians? I'm like, what about them? I'm scared of them.
That's it. But it's so funny to me because I completely get that sense that, you know, there are all these, you know, quote unquote ethnicities that are now everyone's functioning in this global economy in this level playing field, and they want to be represented as unique. Yeah. Because they come from a unique background that has, you know, stereotypical behavior, and they want to be represented as a caricature in order to not only, you know, pass in the country they're in, but also to sort of, you know, sustain some of and keep some of their weird quirkiness. Because
they want somebody else to recognize that they're different.
Right. Isn't that weird?
It's almost like we know we are, but they don't. And then when they hear somebody else talk about them, like, oh, they do. Hold on. We're not lost yet.
Yeah, we're like, we have a thing that they can identify as stereotypical.
Yeah.
And how are things going for you stateside in the big show business?
Things are going great. I mean, people are always like, you know, for the level of international stardom you have, I'm surprised none of these networks have picked you up. And I'm not. Because in my head, it's kind of like, look, if this internet thing had never happened, nobody would know who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
And I get that.
But you know what's weird about you is that you aren't, you know, as yourself, enough of a caricature for them to identify as like he's a goofy Indian guy, because you're capable of capturing those things through voices and through personifying them. But you as yourself, I mean, you're almost, you know, outside of the color of your skin, raceless in a way.
Yeah.
It's weird, huh?
It is a little weird.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. It's kind of
enough.
like a blank slate. They're like, well...
Right. Well, you know, we get that he can do all these different characters, but, like, if he's not going to talk like this, what are we going to do with him? Yeah. Do you come up against that?
I come up with that all the time. And
how do you respond when they say, like, do the Indian voice?
Well, they don't generally do that now anymore. Yeah. I think, thank God, they're changing their point of view on that.
Yeah.
But it's so always funny to me when I get, like, a development deal and they're like, oh, man, we're such huge fans over here. I'm like, no, you're not, dude. Yeah. Don't fucking lie to me. And I've been a comic for 22 years. I'm not fucking stupid. Yeah. I can see through your bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm up there bullshitting people all night.
Yeah.
You think I can't see through you fucking loser? You suit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't try and bullshit a bullshitter.
Uh-huh. Now, how many of your friendships have you been able to maintain, you know, outside, your brother obviously was your business manager and you have comic friends, but like from where you grew up, like say this.
All my friends back home are all my friends.
They are.
They're all, and it's so funny because they you know, because they'll see all the hype, especially in Canada. They'll see everything on TV, like Entertainment Tonight or whatever. Yeah. In Canada, they make a big deal of me, which I appreciate and I love it. But my friends will see all that, and then I'll come back, and for that split second that they see it, they'll get caught up in that hype.
Yeah.
Then I'll come back and hang out with them. They're like, oh, never mind, he's the same.
Yeah.
Like my friend had a cigar sitting out on the table, you know, and just such a fucking, you know, we're comics, we're retards.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, see the cigar I got? I go, that's nice. I go,
yeah,
we do goofy fucking comic things. And it's like, okay, you're still the same. And still the same guy.
Yeah. And how does your family reacted to your insane success? Have you? I mean, your mom's here now.
My mom's here. No, she lives in Canada still, but she's just visiting right now because her brother came from India.
Is your pop still alive?
No, he passed away like 7 years ago. Uh-huh. He passed away right before it all blew up. Which was kind of cool because I always say that he was like my guardian angel. Yeah. Because it really was like a week or two after he died that shit just went through the roof.
So were you sad that he wasn't able to see it, though?
At first, I was sad that he wasn't able to see it, but then I started thinking about I think he's like the puppet master in all of this, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because in the beginning of my career, he always told me, you're never going to make it. He was like, you're never going to make it. There's nobody that looks like you in this business. It's either blacks or Jews, and that's it. They don't want to see you. There's a reason we're not in it, because they don't want to hear from us. And I'm like, yeah, but Dad, that's why I'm going to make it. I go, that's exactly the reason, because there's nobody like me.
So you had that in you?
I had that. I was always the kind of guy, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to prove to you I can.
And now, was your relationship with him always that way?
Yeah, I mean, my dad and I, we were very close.
Yeah.
And my dad used to box in India.
Yeah.
So when I started boxing, him and I got even closer.
Uh-huh.
And then we would always watch fights together and stuff. And he was, even at 78 before he died, he was still slick with the hands. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was good.
So there is an honest part of you that thinks that he's overseeing this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a religious person on any level. I
Yeah.
don't believe in any of it.
Yeah.
I think it's all fucking horse shit.
Yeah.
But I am a spiritual person, and I believe that my father is my God, so to speak, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a good place to put him. It's better
Yeah.
than not liking the guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, thanks for talking, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.
You bet. That's our show. Thank you for listening. Russell Peters, the biggest star in the world, the biggest comedy star in the world, you may not know. Thank you for listening. Go to WTFpod.com for all of your WTF pod needs. Kick in a few shekels. Get yourself an app. Buy some merch for gifts. Look at the episode guide. There's an episode guide. Look at that if you want to know who's been on the show and what you can hear and how you can hear it. JustCoffee.coop, of course. I have some right here. Pow! Wow, I just shit my pants, and it's good it's at the end of the show. I'm going to try to move that to the end of the show now. I can't believe that fucking cat just came in and came out and did not say anything. We had one great ending with Boomer. Okay.